Well, gentlemen, good evening. In the previous lessons, we dealt with several points. I want to mention them briefly. One point we dealt with is recognizing the differences between spouses, and not just recognizing the differences, but understanding the divine ideal behind these differences. In other words, understanding that diversity is a divine foundation in creation. From there, we continue to a positive perspective. When you understand this, you then look at the relationship, at the differences with a positive perspective, meaning with a perspective that believes in it. And these are essentially the two topics we expanded on in previous sessions. Today, I want to focus, based on these ideas, on a concept I once heard from a marriage counselor named Esther Wikorowski about dividing the foundations of marriage according to the Ten Commandments. And not just the Song of Songs, if all the books of the Torah are holy. This is the Holy of Holies because it deals with the unique love between the beloved and bride. And from this great love, we draw our own marital love. And our wedding with the Master of the universe is the event of Mount Sinai. And the Ketubah, if I may say so metaphorically, is the Ten Commandments. So I wish to focus on our own Ten Commandments, from the Ten Commandments, to take each commandment, Toten, and try to see what we can learn for our own relationships. What is the first commandment? I am the Lord your God. Now, what does this commandment, I am the Lord your God, mean? After all, a person who believes in God and wants to observe the Torah should start with, I am the Lord your God. Seemingly, that's it. It's already clear. I want to fulfill the commandments. Why do I need to go back to, I am the Lord your God now? But even the connection with the Master of the universe requires you to constantly remind yourself, I am the Lord my God. I am the Lord your God. This is my Master of the universe. From here, many implications arise, but this is my Master of the universe. As a couple, we need to remind ourselves every day, this is my wife, this is my husband, with a kind of daily renewal of our relationship. Sometimes when I guide secular couples, although it also applies to religious couples, and prepare them for the wedding, for the ceremony, one of the things they see as the least romantic in the ceremony, what do you think it is? What do you think? The ketubah. The ketubah. In their eyes, the ketubah is in Aramaic. It deals with money. And what's the point? Moreover, it's not just about money, it also deals with what happens in case of divorce. So seemingly, if it's a financial agreement, then let's sign it quietly, put it in some drawer, and that's it. And I come and tell them that the ketubah is the most romantic thing there is. Why? The most romantic part of the ketubah is the part that seemingly deals with divorce or commitments that could be relevant to divorce. Why? What is the Hollywood phrase said at weddings? The Christian phrase, until death do us part. Until death do us part. Is that a romantic phrase? Seemingly, yes. A beautiful phrase. But now, let's think about the depth. Are you satisfied with your workplace? Not satisfied. Who is satisfied? Are you satisfied? If I told you, listen, you are satisfied with your workplace, but know that you are there for the rest of your life. I'm no longer satisfied. You're no longer satisfied. Why? Because at that moment, I took away your free choice. In other words, the moment you make something devoid of free choice, then I am already compelled. That's why within the wedding day, an exit door is opened. Here's the exit door. In other words, you are here by choice. The fact is, here's the exit door. Today, for example, in the world of mediation, when a couple, not a couple, but let's say two siblings, open a business together, they are advised to write a partnership dissolution agreement now. They say to you, what do you mean? We love each other, we won't dissolve the partnership. If you want the partnership between you to be healthy, prepare it now. so that everyone knows, here it is. I am here by choice. In other words, in marriage, it's important that I choose anew every day. I am the Lord, your God. Now, it's not just a statement, it's also work. After all, in the end, if someone thinks there is no doubt in this world, they are either a liar, a fool, or living in some other world. Doubt always exists in this world. It always exists, even in relationships. Maybe I could have married a smarter woman, a more beautiful one, more like this, with a father more like that, with a mother more like this. Maybe I could have married a husband more like this, more like that, less like this, and so on. In other words, there is always doubt. What do you do with what is marriage really? I can testify about myself. No. Divine voice appeared at my wedding and told me, listen, you nailed it. This is it. No angel descended from the heavens and told me, this is your match. If someone says yes, then either they took something before the ceremony, or they might truly be 1 in 1,000 who has the Holy Spirit. But there are doubts. So why am I getting married? Because there is also a spark of certainty. Now in life the question is, what do I focus on? Do I enhance the certainty and work on it? This is my wife. This is my husband. This is my wife. This is my husband. Or do I let doubt seep in? And to work on, I am the Lord your God. I want to connect to the interpretation given by the sages. What does I am the Lord your God mean? The sages say it is an acronym. I have written and given my soul. The Master of the Universe says, I have written and given my soul. And you should elevate your marriage to the level of self-sacrifice. Devote yourself to the soul of your marriage. A person should make their marriage their hobby now. Enhancing the marriage is the hobby. Sometimes I hear, and I'm not here to judge, but I generally say that there should be a question raised about people who have separate leisure lives. He has his hobbies, his trips, and his evenings. She has her evenings, her gatherings, and her trips. Where is your shared hobby? Now I say, excuse me, the children. The children. Children are not a hobby. Children are not a hobby because while children are indeed a great love and a significant expression of the relationship, they are not the relationship itself. The relationship should exist independently of the children. And by the way, children should also grow up knowing that there is a circle called family. No. And there is a circle called mom and dad. It's healthy for children to hear from time to time, and I'll talk about this from time to time. It's once a week. Today, mom and dad are going out without you. Not as a defiance, without you, but there is such a concept called mom and dad as a couple. And this requires dedication. If there's one evening she has Zumba, and another evening he has basketball, and another evening he has a daily study session, and another evening she has coffee with friends, usually there's no evening left for the couple, and this has a cost. To reach a constant recognition, this is my wife, this is my husband, I need to dedicate myself to the relationship. If we decided that every Wednesday we go out, and now I arrive on Wednesday and I'm exhausted, then I don't give up on it. I call it, we will talk about this in detail in one of the discussions, but I call it couples dialysis. The weekly meeting is couples dialysis. A person who needs dialysis, if they skip it once, usually it's okay. They survive. If they skip it twice, toxins start to accumulate. Again, it becomes a life-threatening situation. Similarly, in a relationship, life and wear leave residues. If I don't renew the choice of being a couple, then I am not living with the consciousness of I am the Lord your God. How many people carry a picture of their spouse in their wallet? In the wallet? In the iPhone? Sorry, today it's in the iPhone. Please, part of giving your soul is this. It's about calling several times a day. It's deciding to share at the end of the day. It's about giving your soul. If I do this, then I would be able to constantly elevate this connection that was another thing. That is within this expression, I am the Lord your God. There is a special midrash that says, Anochi. It's not in Hebrew, it's in Egyptian. What does this mean to say? That the difference between the master of the universe and the people of Israel at the moment of the wedding was immense. But the Holy One, blessed be He, speaks to them in Egyptian to get closer. In other words, if I relate this to a relationship, there is a great difference. A difference from creation, a difference from the family background. Now, if I do not devote myself to work, to elevate this, to turn this difference into an ideal, then there is a price to pay. And therefore, the first commandment, I am the Lord your God, is to live constantly with the awareness, I choose my wife every day. I choose my wife. And this is work. This is the work of character. I will give you the question from another perspective. Am I capable? And do I need to do this? To say to my children, I choose you every day. I have already given this example. That the big test in raising children is not whether I love my children. We all love our children. Would I choose them? I would choose them. The master of the universe gives me a catalog. Choose. There are my children, the neighbor's children, and those other children. Now, do you choose your children? If you don't choose your children, then there's a problem here. Because you know this. Now, how can I do it? My son is hyperactive and has 2 left hands. What do I do? If I delve into his depth, into his inner self, then I start to choose him because I discover who he really is. And that's what I love. Now with a partner, it's easier because I already chose once. It didn't come down on me from the heavens by force. I chose her. But from that choice, slowly it wore down because I didn't make sure to both dedicate myself to the relationship and constantly strengthen the choice, the certainty. And therefore, from here, I want to move to the next commandment. You shall have no other gods before me. In other words, the master of the universe knows when there is danger. Meaning, I am the Lord your God is fine. I declare, this is my wife. But what if I'm not careful? There are other things that will slowly spoil. I'll give you an example. One person approached me, someone I had the chance to help with their marriage, and he came and said to me, listen, Rabbi, I'm having a hard time with my wife. Why is it hard for you with your wife? It's hard for me. How long have you been married? 12 years. And then he says to me, listen, it's hard for me with her. 3 reasons. She's spoiled. She's not social. And she's not very smart. Now, how does a person, after 12 years, suddenly come to the conclusion that his wife is spoiled, not social, and not smart? After all, this isn't something you saw 12 years ago. These aren't traits that suddenly appear. And I started sort of to peel back with him. And then he told me, look, we were on vacation this summer, and it was us and another couple. And during the vacation, I noticed that my wife is like this and like that and like that. I said, tell me, who was with you? Not by names. Tell me about the couple that was with you. He told me, tell me about the woman of that couple. So he tells me, this woman, during her national service, was a field school instructor. And on the trip, she was like a Golani soldier, all rugged, and no problem. We'll sleep here and climb the this, and his wife is much more pampered. It's hard for her. She doesn't like this. And suddenly sleeping in a tent. And why on the grass? So he tells me, this woman arrives everywhere, knows everyone from home, like a field school on trips. And we arrived at the third station of wisdom. He tells me, she knows the land, every plant, every spring. And then I went back with him a little. Remind me of your wife when you went out. What was special about her? What did you love about her? So he tells me, her gentleness, her femininity. Tell me more. Her calmness, her introversion, and tell me more. To me, she is very profound. She's a psychological diagnostician. She really is. These three traits, when suddenly viewed in someone else, suddenly the gentleness, the femininity became spoiled. The introverted, gentle, became unsocial. The deep became not smart. Because the great danger is, I am the Lord your God. Maris, you shall have no other gods before me. The comparison. We live in a mixed society. That's reality. We won't discuss it now. What is good and what is bad and how? That's reality. As a result, it's not just reality because we are such a society, it's reality because life is like that. But as a result, we often compare. And we must be very careful. And being careful is not just in theory, being careful is also in practice. It is not acceptable for a couple not to have a vacation alone, not with another couple, alone. That's not real. That's not a couple's vacation. You meet people who haven't gone on a couple's vacation alone for 10 years. You ask him, why don't you go out with your wife alone? He tells me it's boring. What will I do with her for a whole weekend? In other words, it has reached such a distortion that he really no longer knows what a relationship is. There is a three-way dispute in the Gemara, a huge disagreement between Hillel, Shammai, and Rabbi Akiva about what constitutes grounds for divorce. Shammai says, grounds for divorce is if he finds something indecent. In Hebrew, infidelity. There is infidelity that is grounds for divorce. Hillel says she burned his dish, burned his steak, grounds for divorce. In Hebrew, it means she doesn't know how to manage the household. They are unable to build a home. Rabbi Akiva says he found someone more attractive than her. He found someone more beautiful. Hollywood, everyone follows Rabbi Akiva. All day they get married again because they found someone more attractive. When you try to understand what Rabbi Akiva is saying, if in your soul it starts to seep in more attractive than her, or in your soul it starts to seep in more attractive than him, there's a problem here. Now, how do I prevent this? How do I prevent this? Firstly, by strengthening my certainty, as we discussed. I am the Lord, your God. Secondly, by waging a fierce battle against idols at home, against other gods, even if sometimes it involves discomfort. You travel every day to 86 Jabotinsky Street in Tel Aviv. At 84 Jabotinsky Street, someone from the community works, and she asks you, I want to hitch a ride with you every day. No, it's not appropriate. It's not appropriate. Firstly, not because there is a concern, which also exists. There is no guardian for matters of immorality. The sages warned us, but in spirit. Let's think about it. A person leaves for work in the morning. He is an early riser, leaves at 7 in the morning. He is already leaving the community. By 6:30, he is already outside the community. What does an average household look like at 7 in the morning? World war. And then he goes out. Most of us don't look great in the morning. Most of us need a little touch-up, a bit of face washing, a bit of teeth brushing. Most of us. There are a few exceptions. Someone once told me some distortion, we'll get to that she makes sure to get up before her husband in the morning to put on makeup so that he can see her with makeup on, so that he, God forbid, won't see her without makeup. That's distorted. It means that the home is not a real home, but the person leaves the house, or the woman leaves the house at such an hour, and now she gets into the car, which is usually comfortable with music and air conditioning, and both are already dressed properly for work, and now they have an hour of togetherness, quality time. It's not appropriate to have quality time with someone who is not your partner. By the way, even casual conversations are not right to have. Social gatherings are fine, but in social gatherings, you don't have conversations with a woman who is not your wife. Pleasant conversations are of basic friendship, certainly yes. But a deep conversation now is not appropriate because it takes up space in the soul and vice versa. A girl in the community asked me, a 16-year-old, she said to me, I have a boyfriend from the north. He is 19 years old. We've been together for 3 years, something like that. Rabbi, what do you say? Should I continue the relationship, yes or no? I told her, listen, at your age, the intensity of such a relationship is very high. They take up space in the soul. It's not right. With God's help, if you were 18, I would give you a different answer. With God's help, you will have these intensities of friendship, closeness, and deep conversations with whoever will be your husband. But with someone who will not be your husband, it's not right. Because it can even sit somewhere in the consciousness, even 5-10 years later, when she has parted from him and she gets married. And she remembers with a kind of nostalgia these deep conversations. It's not right, especially since we are married. And therefore, I say, it supposedly has some kind of price, right? A couple sometimes needs to be honest with each other. If there is a couple that is not healthy for you to host, then you don't host them. If there is a Sabbath that is not suitable for hosting, because it's the Sabbath that we are now together as a couple, then you say it's not suitable for us. I have said this several times. A couple leaves the settlement and now has an hour's drive. Don't take the distractions, don't take them. You have quality time. And therefore you shall have no other gods means do not compare. Be careful of comparisons. Be cautious of closeness. That is not right. That raises doubt. Doubt is a Malachite. It's the devil. It seeps in. This is, you shall have no other gods before me. The next commandment is, you shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. What does this mean in a relationship? Do not take the name of the relationship in vain. In other words, sanctify the relationship. We grow up in a cultural world where relationships are a joke. People love skits about relationships. It's distorted, especially when it goes inside the home. When a man mentions his wife's name jokingly, don't ask about my wife yesterday. She also went to the garage. She doesn't understand anything. What's the problem with that? Firstly, you are disrespecting your wife or a woman. Don't ask, yesterday my husband did the laundry. Look what he did. He put the red with the green with the white. All the laundry came out beige. This is wrong for several reasons. Firstly, it's simply gossip. And even between each other, it's forbidden to speak gossip. But worse than that, it gives us an image as if this is our relationship. And slowly we learn to disrespect our relationship. A person should elevate their relationship with reverence. I grew up in a home, for example, where the parents' bedroom is a sacred place. You don't go in there. No way, that's dad and mom's bedroom. What does it mean to go in there? To this day, you could call it a quirk. If I'm at my in-laws and need to get a towel from their bedroom closet, I don't go in. I say to my mother-in-law, can you bring it to me? She tells me, go in. No, I don't go into the bedroom. They have a bathroom in the bedroom. I don't know. No, sometimes there's a crowd in the showers. They tell me, shower there. I can't shower there. No way. The sages say, when you are a guest, in a house where you know the couple, it's not quite right to sleep in their bed. Not quite right. What to do? Put a pillow on the floor. Sleep. Because it creates processes in the soul. And your relationship needs to be elevated. It needs to be empowered. It needs to be sanctified. Also towards the children. And it's part of the, yes, we are going out. There is such a concept called mom and dad. There is such a concept called the relationship of mom and dad. And today you are not. It's very healthy for children to grow up like this, because it's also healthy from another perspective. Sometimes children grow up with parents who tell them all day, I have no life, I do everything for you. My dear, I will die, but only for you. What does this create in the child? It creates the thought that he has essentially stolen his parents' happiness. In other words, my parents could have been happy, but who took their happiness away? Me. That is to say, they don't go out, they don't have fun, they do nothing. And that's not right. A relationship needs to be elevated. It needs to be empowered. I will briefly go over the commandments we discussed. 1, I am the Lord your God. This is my wife. This is my husband. I elevate it all the time. 2, you shall have no other gods before me. You do not allow anything else to enter, even if it requires actual deeds. 3, you shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. A relationship is not something to be taken lightly. It is something that needs to be sanctified, elevated. We will finish